I could have sworn that black was supposed to be slimming. This is not helping out at all. My butt looks just humongous. Today we are working out with Daniel Ovieda, aka Chris Daughtry, aka Pitbull. You'll see what I'm talking about once you see him. Daniel just wanted to learn how to squat a little bit better, so I got a chance to work out with him. It's not very often that I get to work out with other people, so when I do, I take the opportunity to do so. And here, Daniel wanted to learn how to really just lift heavier and lift with proper form. He was getting really close to depth, real close. If you watch it, you're right there. It's about 1 inch off of hitting depth, and I think it wasn't because he wasn't trying to do it. It's just because he physically couldn't. So I want to go over 4 tips that I think helped me that might help you. So tip number 1, when I started lifting weights, I wanted to lift as heavy as possible, and for what reason, I have no idea. I think that when I originally started lifting, I always equated heavier weight as bigger muscles, which it does, but maybe not the way that you think that it does. You actually want to lift and control as much weight as you can. If you just fling it around, you're not getting all of the time under tension as you would if you were just slinging the weight around. There's a lot of kinetic energy that's involved when you just sling weight around, and you want to actually put your body under the tension. So tip number 1 is I was lifting too much weight. If you ever feel like your form is degrading, you should probably stop the lift and lower the weight and then get back at it. There are such things as cheat reps, but I don't recommend it with stuff like squatting and deadlift, or even bench with the really big 3. With the smaller lifts and more isolated lifts, I mean, you could do cheat reps. Your chance of injuring yourself is a lot less. For those big 3, I don't recommend cheat lifts because that's how you get yourself injured. The second thing is a lot of people might not even know what it's like to hit depth. They don't know what it feels like, what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to look like. A few things that you can do to find out whether or not you're hitting depth is very easily do what I did and record yourself. You don't have to have a fancy camera. You don't have to have anything specific other than just your phone. Lean it up against something and just record yourself as level as you can to where your hip crease is at. And you'll know whether or not you're hitting depth. You'll know you're hitting depth by your hip going just below your knee. Anything below that is fine. Some people go all the way butt to heels. I used to do that. I do it sometimes, but for the most part, I just make sure that my butt drops just under my kneecaps. Something else that you can do to make sure that you're hitting depth and to see what it actually feels like and feel it for the first time is use a box. Some people do box squats. If you can find a box that is your exact knee crease, what's it, Nebo? I think it's called Nebo. Whatever the crease is behind your knee, if you can find a box that's that exact height or just like an inch or 2 lower, and you sit down on that with no weight at all, you'll find out better exactly what it feels like to be at depth. And just start from there and stand up, engage your glutes and stand up from there, and you'll know exactly where depth is and what it feels like. So practice squatting like that, or even just straight air squats. I mean, go as far down as you can and you'll learn exactly what depth feels like by just doing air squats as low as you can. If you can't do it without weights, you can't expect to do it with weights. You really don't want the weights forcing you down to hit depth. You want to bring the weight to depth. You don't want the weight to push you down past depth. Slow and controlled the entire time. The third thing is, there's a good possibility you just don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that you can lift the weight. You've never lifted whatever the weight is before. You've never done it for reps. I remember for the longest time I did 225 for probably a year, and the reason why I did it for a year is because I wanted to One, do it safely. I was working around an injury and I wanted to know what depth felt like, and I wanted to be comfortable at 225. I did different rep ranges, whether it was just 4 sets of 12, 3 sets of 15, slower reps, pause reps. I did that all the way up until I could comfortably do easily 4 sets of 12 pause reps at 4-second pauses. And that built my confidence in my back and in also my form for squatting. And then from there, I added weight on. A lot of other people won't be that patient and do just 225 for a whole year. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to anybody else. But for me, I was dealing with a back injury. That was the best thing for me. Tip number 4 is, and this is probably one of the most common ones, well, of the people that I know. They just don't have the mobility and the flexibility. Their hip flexors can't get open, and there's no way for them to get low enough to do it. They try. That's how it felt when I first started, is that I didn't have the range of motion that I needed to actually get to depth. So one thing I would recommend for that is to actually get down in a squat as deep as you can and just sit there and do that multiple times in a day, days that you squat, days that you don't squat. Open up your hips and see how far you can get down and be comfortable in that squat position. Something to add to that once you start doing that a little bit is actually pinning your elbows up against your knees and pushing them out while you're in that squat position. That will help out a lot as well. Everybody starts somewhere. You can't push yourself too fast to want to be like somebody else. You can't be like somebody else. You can only do what you can do. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier in believing in yourself, is everybody too often wants to be like somebody else and lift like somebody else and have a body type like somebody else. You can look to someone else for aspiration of what you want to achieve, but don't expect to get the same results as somebody else. Everybody's different. Everybody has different body types, has different genetics, and you're not gonna look like, name XYZ person. I remember for the longest time I wanted to look like Jean-Claude Van Damme or be his size. Like if I could only get to his size, then I'll be satisfied. And I think he weighed, you probably can fact check it, probably 185. And I started lifting weights and I was like 155. And I got to 185 and I was like, man, I still feel small. And look at Daniel. I wanted to lift more and I wanted to get even bigger. I think you have to have that type of desire to lift more and to do better, to even be successful at weightlifting or whatever it is. You can't get to a goal and be satisfied with that one goal. There has to be something else, something more, another way to get stronger, to get bigger, to get more defined, whatever it is. You just can't be satisfied with whatever goal you hit. You've never arrived until it's done, until you can't do it anymore. And most of the time that's when it's all over, when it's over. So for me, those are 4 tips that I used throughout my lifting to have a better squat, to squat more. You'll see here actually 2 other things that I did. You can't expect to squat more if you're only doing squats. I would recommend doing squats 2 to 3 times a week in order to get your squat up, because the only way to squat better is to do it more often. There is a bunch of different methods, such as the Bulgarian method, where you lift every single day with the same lift in order to pass a plateau. I've never actually, I did. I squatted every day for a month, and that also helped me pass, what was it? I remember my original squat goal was to squat one day 405. I'm already there, and I'm like, well, that's not enough, so I keep going at it. Oh, what was I saying? Oh, the other things that I did to increase the squat, and what we're doing here is the lunges, split lunges, not necessarily walking lunges, although walking lunges are good, and front squats, because front squats actually put more stress on different parts of your body rather than just regular squats. It'll help with your midline basically and make that stronger. Anyways, I hope those 4 tips helped you. There are 4 things that I've used. I've been lifting since 2000 and almost 8 years now, so whatever that is. 2008. Yeah, I'm good at math. Since 2008. So Anyways, I hope those tips help. And if you have anything that you want to know about me, or you have questions about fitness in general, let me know. If you have anything that you specifically want me to talk about, this channel was built or made with the intent of not just talking about physical fitness, but all the other aspects of fitness. Without mental or spiritual fitness, who cares if my body can do all these other things if my personal life or my spiritual life is just trash? So I'm open to any questions, and I will get back to you guys, most likely in a video response, as opposed to just typing back. If it's a subject I feel like I can make a video on, or if you request it to be in a video, then I'll do that too. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.